Okay, as everybody's signing on here, I'm just going to continue to get my paints ready as we all, giving everyone a chance just to hop on here. So you can go ahead and get your stuff. I'm going to be working on mine over here. Just getting everything set up so you can see what I'm doing. So while you guys are coming in and before we get started, just want you to set out whatever paints you've chosen. Just set them out on a palette somewhere and we'll start setting things up. So that way we can just jump right in. I'm just setting up some of my favorites, which I'm sure you all know by now which ones those are. All right. And then I'm just going to turn up the music a little bit. Okay, just so I can hear it and it's not completely silent. I like to have a little bit of ambiance. Just helps me think better. Okay, so these are the colors I'm choosing for today. And I'm going off, as I always do, based on mood, but I'm also choosing the same colors that I was using more or less last time because I want to show you, if you're continuing to work on the paintings from last time, what it could potentially look like. All right, so I'm just going to be building on that. And I'm a big fan of brown, so we're using several shades. This one is raw umber, and you can see I really don't take a fuss if other paints get mixed in with it. It actually helps. This is one shade of brown here, more like a chocolatey brown. Okay. And I know you can't see all the paints I'm laying out here. Don't worry about that so much. I'm going to bring them in the middle here and probably, mix them up. That's what I generally do. And I'm going to leave this open. And then this is my other brown. This is more of a dark chocolate brown. I'm just going to take a little bit of that out too. All right. And there. That is pretty much all I need. I'm going to set these in some water and set these aside. All right. So the colors I've chosen are, I always have white. This is yellow ochre. This is my favorite turquoise blue. This is just a blend I've made of a blue and a green, raw umber, a lighter brown, and a darker brown. Okay. Now that I have this stuff all set up, I'm going to pop over in the other camera. And I just want to talk to you for a minute. Okay. So as you're coming in, I just have to ask my team member for a little help here. Can you log me in so I can see the comments and respond back? Thank you. All right, so just a little recap while we're hopping on and everyone's kind of getting all settled. I want you to take a deep breath. So many of us, I know, for me, it has been crazy after the holidays. I don't know what happened. Like, my life just sped up so fast. And I find myself trying to take a breath and get back to, that calm, peaceful state where I can just like create and do my best work that way. And it's been challenging. And so I imagine that maybe I'm not the only one here, and it's been a little challenging for you too. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. And so it's so important to really work on our mindset as we, transition into things like this. And know that, painting, for many of us, like we get into it for different reasons. And actually what I'd love, if you can, just pop in, like, why are you here today? Just let me know. It'll help me figure out how to go, in this, and how to tailor this message today. But are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? Are you a more experienced painter? Like, do you have experience with abstract, or maybe this is your first time? And those are all amazing reasons. And so what I love about it is that we can use it to express really anything. There's no rules here, and that's the beauty of it. And so those of you that did not join me last time, or you couldn't, don't worry about it. You haven't missed a thing. We're gonna continue on, and you can jump right in right now and just start from here. It's really, it's fine. And, but I do wanna do a quick review. Last time, so the way we started was we set an intention, and as a group collectively, our intention was to just get started, right? And then I asked you all to maybe choose an intention in addition to that that's maybe a little more personal to you. And so my intention was let go. I have this tendency to just, hold on to things and grip and brace myself and just get really tense as I work through things. And that really does not produce good art. Like, we don't make good art if we're not relaxed or at peace, So that was my reminder to myself to let go of stress, of what I can't control, and all other things that really are out of my reach and I have no business trying to control. So, remind yourself of that intention for today if you're going to continue with that, or maybe you choose a new one. Maybe your intuition is telling you, yeah, I'm done with that one. Like, this is what I need today. And adapt that. Give yourself permission to adapt that for today. Let me give you some examples of other ones. We talked about, if let go wasn't something that fit you, then borrow a different one, like some that I throw out to people that are not sure what to do when they start. Hope, peace, gratitude, healing, anything that speaks to you. That's going to be most useful for you today. All right. And then take a breath. You made it. You're here. We have 90 minutes together to just, relax, let ourselves get in the moment and be completely present. There is no judgment here. That is probably the biggest and most foremost thing. I'm very big on creating safe environments when we learn. As artists, we're all very vulnerable and sensitive people. So we need to know that we're not going to be criticized or, put down in any way as we're learning something new. And so with that, this is a no judgment zone, but more so in your own mind, you have to make it a judgment-free zone for yourself. And give yourself complete permission right now to just experiment in these next 90 minutes and just observe what comes out. And, as you observe and you may get an inkling of, oh, this might be something I want to pursue, or nope, definitely not that one. And both are fine. This is part of that foundation of figuring out who you are as an artist. So, all right. Let me just tell you quickly, at the end of class, I'm going to be giving away, and I hope, let's see if this comes up on here. Here we go. Okay, is it glared? Is it good? Okay, great. So this is a small print of a painting of mine, and I'm going to be giving this away to somebody at the end of class. So just know that that's waiting for you. All right. Now, let's start. I'm gonna slide over to my other camera and I'm gonna review some of the surfaces that we worked on and show you where I left things off. Okay, some of you I know you're all working on various different surfaces. So I even mentioned to you that having an art journal is fine. And you can just, you know, this is what I experiment in. So if you just want to paint today in several different pages, perfect. It's all, you know, it's by design. So this is a canvas panel that I actually did not get to show last time. They are really an easily accessible thing for you to practice on. And the beauty of this is you could even frame it when you're done, you know, and there you have a painting. But I practiced on some watercolor paper. You see, this is the one I warmed up on. This is another one here. I had a piece of wood panel, and you can see it's got a lot of texture of paint here. It's just a piece of plywood that I had cut for me. So there are many options. And then this was one of the canvases that I started to warm up on, and then this is the one that I got most done with, right? So we together are gonna start with a quick warm up. Let me just get a sip of water here. And we're going to take whatever mark making tools you have. I had a couple of pencils, and I just want you to, you know, mess it up. I don't want you to think anything about it. Maybe use your non-dominant hand. And I know this and some of your minds already is going, what? Oh my gosh, no, like ruining it. And that's the point, okay? I'm gonna take a pastel here. We need to get all those little jitters out, those nervous energies, you know, the doubts in our mind going, oh, I don't know if you can do that. You gotta quiet that because there's no place for it here. And I just want you to take all your surfaces and get some sort of marking on them. This is our warm-up. Let me see, let me grab a different color. Right. I love using oil pencils because they're delicate markings. That's exactly what this is. And I bought these off of Amazon, you guys. They're amazing. They just leave the most like delicate markings when you get different layers of paint on them. And they're perfect. Perfect for a little bit of detail. Okay, so let me put a little bit on here. Sometimes I'll just do something like this because you have to, you know, you have to take away that thought and that feeling of, oh, I can't mess it up. Well, I just did on purpose. So therefore, it releases some stress in my mind that I'm actually gonna mess it up. And now I can get to work. All right, so let's see, which one do I start with? I'm gonna start with this little one here. Okay, and I think I'm gonna start this way. And I've got my paints laid out over here. And I'm just gonna start with a brush, let's see. Wet my brush, and I'm gonna take some paint. I'm not even gonna bother mixing the paints just yet. I just wanna get some color on here. And I'm not gonna put too thick of a layer. So we don't wanna put too thick of a layer for today's purpose because if they don't dry, it's gonna be harder for us to work on them. So these are practice. These are thin layers that we're just putting on. And it's really just meant to get us going and get some sort of foundation so that later on we can go back in and we have an idea of maybe something that, you know, we like. All right. And you see I'm being really messy with it. And that's on purpose. So if you wanna, if you feel like you're getting a little into your head already, just switch hands. Whatever hand that your non-dominant hand is, you're gonna see you have like hardly any control if you are not used to using that hand. And that's the whole point, right? part of the beauty of abstract is not having control. So I'm going to set this one aside to dry. And I'm going to take another one. All right, let's do this one this way. And I'm thinking here, before I get too far involved, I'm just going to start with a dark color first. There, and let's see, bring some of this over and a little bit of this. I love these colors of mixing all the paints together. I used to think they were ugly, but now I understand the color better. And do you see, like, it's a light color up against a dark, but it looks really great because it has all these colors mixed in it. And so right away, I'm starting with this incredible foundation. Yeah, I'm covering up all those marks. Like, don't worry about that. And look, it just like, okay, so let's just take a look at this for a second. Right away, I have contrast, dark and light, right? And it's this blend, this beautiful blend of lights that has this color plus all these other colors in here. So when I go to use those other colors, they're gonna really look like they fit in with this. And that's one of the big secrets right there. All right, so I'm gonna let this one just set aside and dry, and I'm gonna grab another surface. So you do the same, and we're just gonna go through this. Let me take this one out. All right, so now I'm thinking, okay, let me take some of this, the dark brown, and I need a spatula for this one. So I want to mix some of this turquoise blue, and it's a very thick, heavy-bodied paint. It's totally different than these other more fluid ones. And I could use a more fluid one, but you know, I've said many times, I just love this particular shade of turquoise for many reasons. So to me, it's worth taking that extra time to have to blend it with a spatula. And it gives me this beautiful blue, dark blue-green. All right. Let me just switch this back over here. All right. Okay. Get this on. Now, I'm using a spatula this time. If you guys have different tools that you want to practice with, this is the best time to do it. Why? Because, like, really there's nothing at stake, right? There's nothing, you can't ruin anything. And I'm just scraping it down to a thin layer. And let's see, let's put a little bit up there. Maybe just a little there. All right. And I'm thinking, sometimes I just like to scrape things. So where did I put my scraper? Okay. All this is a busted paintbrush. And look, it just, I mean, these sorts of things make really great, unexpected markings right in here. And I know we're gonna paint over this, but let's go back to the paintbrush, and I'm just gonna take some of the white and mix it over here. And you see, do you see all the colors coming out? I mean, that's the beauty of it. All right. Now I'm just gonna take it and fill in some spots. I'm not even gonna fill all of them. I'm gonna let some of that yellow just kind of, you know, show. But look at what happens when it catches a section on my paintbrush that has a little more darker color in it. It blends so perfectly. You still have that light in the dark, but because they're harmonized, it just looks so nice already. And that's probably one of my favorite things here. So we're gonna just fill this up. And so it'll come out like darker sections over here. I'm just gonna take some of this pure white and put it on here and see what happens. This is your chance to really experiment here because there's nothing at stake. Like, no, you can't do anything, you know, damaging. It's a learning process. All right, I think I'm just gonna, why not? So I'll often say one thing and then do the opposite as I'm painting. And you need to allow yourself that freedom as well, because things will occur to you, like, to try as you're in it. Like, we talked about creativity last time, and that creativity is like a muscle. Some of us feel like we don't have it, but you do. And it's one of those things that it doesn't grow unless you use it. So you have to use it to get more creativity. All right, so that's what I'm doing. Now I think I'm gonna go back to my spatula and I'm just gonna play around and see what happens. Okay, I am really liking that right there. You can make any markings you want, any irregularity. That is how I find the best surprises. All right, and I think, okay, this is another one of my favorite tools. I'm just gonna dip this in some water and come at this. Okay. And I wanted a clean one because I didn't want anything really, any of this to get on that white, because I like that it's so light up there. All right, and then let's see. I'm gonna come in with just a little bit more. Let's get this, wipe this off first, the white, and just get the color and maybe come in some areas. Okay, now to me, I really like it. I love the direction it's going in. Let's add a little bit of brown in here. I love this direction. So as you're choosing colors, I want you to keep this in mind. Sometimes we can even get stuck choosing colors and just dwelling on it too long, right? And then we get too much in our heads, and then we think we're supposed to choose certain colors to do things, and then they don't speak to us, and we can't figure out why. And the reason is we didn't let our intuition just choose for us. So as you finish up this one and you're gonna choose, you know, your next surface to paint on, here's the trick. Just go right away to certain colors. Like, go right away to whatever colors you choose quick, right? And at least my experience is that I've been much happier with that than sitting there going, should I use this color? Because if I use this color, then I can't use that other color. Don't even go there. All right, I'm loving this, and here's what I'm loving about it. So I have a couple of base layers underneath here already, because this is one from last week, right? And those of you that are starting this week, keep going, and this will apply to you as you get a few more layers on. But I love the dark bottom because it makes me feel like I've got somewhat of a foundation, right? A grounding sense. These dark colors, they're sort of earthy. They've got browns in them. And for me, they give me peace. And then I love the lights. Now this blue-green, this turquoise color, for me somehow it's just magical. I can't explain it. And I can't even put it in words. So I don't try anymore. But that's part of the reason with art, right? Is it is a visual language, and we don't always have words. And that's why I got into this, and I imagine some of you guys too. So I'm gonna let this one dry, And I'm going to do another surface. So if you are ready to join me, switch surfaces. I'm going to try wood this time, and you're going to see how different it is. All right. So with this wood, I think I'm going to do the blue and the brown again, but more focused on them together. All right, so this is also something that happens is as we start painting and getting into it, our mind opens up and goes, ooh, this one color, let's make that the star of the next painting. So that's what I'm going to do, and right now it's just going to be a different version, right? Because it's part of me discovering what is speaking to me today. And you're going to feel that too for yourself. All right, so I'm mixing it up. And I think I want to add a little bit of this green in here. And some of this other brown, just to see what happens. Okay, open your mind up to that. It could be a total flop. That's okay. This is our chance. I mean, these are the bottom layers anyways, right? So they're gonna get covered up. And so if I like it, well then maybe I'll put another layer of the same on top of it, and I'll start to shape it into more of a mood sort of thing. All right, let me grab another tool. This is a color shaper. It's also on my top 10 tools list. This is silicone. It looks like a paintbrush, but it's great for taking paint like this and just putting it on. And so for something like this, which is wood that I have lots of layers on already, and they're uneven, it's great for getting it in all those nooks and crannies and just covering sections. All right, and make marks wherever you want. It's really great to start with something bold initially, because as we get into it more, it makes it easier for us to make decisions. Okay. And so now I'm thinking, this is my thought process. I'm like, what do I do next? Okay, I just laid down a bunch of dark. I need something light in here. Okay, so what can I do? All right, I'm gonna start, I think, with some of this, bring some of this white over here. And let's see, I've got the turquoise, I've got the brown, and then I've got some of that green. So maybe I've got both browns in here. So maybe I start with this lighter brown, and now the other colors from that were on here are mixing in with it automatically, right? So now I have more of a brown tone, but I want to make it a little lighter. So I'm going to grab another scoop. Because right now what I want is contrast, and I'm just going to, fill in some spaces. And since I have a lot of layers on here, I'm going to intentionally see what happens if I like leaving these areas exposed. Sometimes when it's dry, I like it. And if I don't, I know that I can paint over it. But sometimes it's what actually ties in everything here. And that's the magic. And so by covering up also a lot of those other areas, it's creating a lot more quiet space, at least that's what I call it, quiet areas. And it allows me to see, okay, what do I want to do as a composition? Do I like the shape of where this is going? Should I maybe bring in a pop of blue and just put it somewhere? Let's see what happens. Because it's such a pretty turquoise, and then when you mix it with just a little bit of color, it really shines. It really stands out. So it's honestly one of my favorite colors, and I have to restrain myself sometimes from using it because there's so many beautiful colors out there. All right. I'm gonna let this one sit, and then I'm gonna evaluate it. Oh, but actually first, let's do a little scraping. All right. Oh, I'm gonna bring a little white in there. That got too dark for me. Okay. That is gonna dry. All right, so I'm gonna put that down. And that's, oh, and I wanna do this one more, and then I just wanna talk to you while they dry a little bit and we prep for our next layer. Okay, so this is the one that I started and got most finished on in the last session that we did live. And I love the colors here. So this really speaks to me. I know it's not much at the moment, but what speaks to me are these colors that are, first of all, the palette, right? And then second, just the way they're blended in certain areas, and I've got this muddy area, and it makes me really see like, oh, okay, maybe I want to bring out and make this more of a quiet area of just a soft light blended color, and then maybe I want to bring this blue out. So let me experiment with that. So here I go again. Let's wipe this off. I get paint on everything as I go. For some reason, I'm just a really messy painter. All right, so here we go. I gotta grab some out of the jar here. And I'm gonna put it right here. Now, I want to just lighten it. So I'm gonna take some white. It's a super intense color, and it doesn't take, like, a little goes a long way. So I love this blue. Right now, I just want to leave it with the pure blue. And I'm going to put some in this area that I kind of identified where there was some blue already. And just kind of see what happens. There's no rhyme or reason. There's no right or wrong way. It's all based on what speaks to you and what makes you feel good. So I'm just kind of going around in different areas and experimenting with that. All right, so I got that blue down. There we go. And now I'm going to come in with a very light color of this muddy color, which is just all of our colors mixed together, right? And I think I'm going to have to get a new paintbrush because this one has a lot on there already. And I just kind of want more of a pure color blend of this. Okay. Now I could already tell with it next to this that it's gonna harmonize. So I'm just gonna get it, not in every spot, just areas maybe to highlight, and then I'll come in with another tool and sort of play around with it and see what happens. So as you're doing yours, keep in mind just that playfulness that you want to have, that experimenting thought process of, I wonder what would happen if. And then put a little bit down want to take my cake frosting spatula, this thing that I used last time, and I'm just gonna, I just want to see what happens. I'll go in several different directions sometimes until I get something I like. And I kind of like what's happening. So the thing with the beauty with like non-representational abstract is you don't have to follow any rules. It is all whatever you want, like whatever makes you feel good is what you do. So I'm gonna hit it again. And here's what I like about it so far. I love this blue. It is bright yet dark enough to contrast against this really light color. And it's not white, right? It's a blend of all these beautiful colors here. And so it's giving me still some areas up from behind that are sort of peeking through, and it's starting to get a little more complex and sophisticated. So now I'm gonna take, let's see, I'm gonna take one of these, and this is not actually pastel, it's called a neo pastel, and it's essentially a very waxy crayon. And I'm just gonna, I don't know, see what feels good, right? Put some in different areas. I could always cover it up. I like that, you know, when I get up close. Far away, this looks very different. You get up close, you go, oh wow, look at all this like really interesting stuff underneath here. So it just adds a lot to this. All right, I'm gonna let this dry. There's just enough of that gold in there for me that I feel like is really working with the look. And I'm gonna set this aside. Okay. All right, so now I wanna sit down and just talk to you about a few things that I had made some notes on while we let those layers dry, or while you continue to work on your layers. I'm just gonna talk to you for a minute. Okay, so one of the important things about choosing our colors, I talked on that here, is first, one of the biggest hang-ups that we sometimes get stuck with is choosing those colors. And so when I do live painting events with people in a in-person workshop, I don't give them time to choose because it's an intuition thing. And we get so, most of us, unfortunately, are really kind of out of touch. You know, I put myself right there with you, out of touch with our intuition because we're so go, 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 go work, and everything has to fit in specific parameters of what somebody else, you know, is having us do. And when we're in that mindset so long, it's a natural thing that we sort of get disconnected from our own. So this is our chance to get back in touch with that. And it may feel really awkward at first, but over time, you know, it wakes us up inside and it gets easier. So the trick there, if you're struggling to get started, all right, just grab the first three. Believe it or not, this is my belief. I have no scientific proof except that it works and when I've done it with people, is just grab colors. Your intuition sort of knows, and if you don't struggle and say, oh, I don't know if I should choose that color, and you just grab, that is your, you know, heart and soul inside choosing colors, and then you bring them back and they start to speak with you. And we often don't realize those are the colors that, I sometimes gravitate to, or, wow, they made this color that I really, really love. And when I do in-person workshops with people, and, sometimes it's corporate, sometimes it's just, it's regular people, they're not artists. They all end up choosing different colors. And at the end, they are realizing, wow, this really speaks to me. Like these colors, I didn't really realize that these are my colors. And it's a really cool process. And so it's just the start of getting in touch with all of that. And that's what's eventually going to lead you down the path. So I just wanted to say that. And also, those of you that are, so there's some people that may be here that have a lot of experience painting, and some people that are brand new. And I just want to speak to both sides for a minute. Those of us that have had a lot of training, sometimes we get caught up in that, and we are thinking, oh, I just really want to, get splash paint on there, but I have all this technique that I've learned, like what a waste that would be. And I should be doing these techniques, or I should be doing blah, 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 right? And it can trip us up. And then on the flip side, those of us that are brand new here today, maybe have no painting experience, are discounting ourselves, saying, oh man, that's just a little out of reach for me. I don't know if I even belong here. I don't have any experience. I don't even know what color mixing is about. And I want you to know that I would consider it a benefit that you don't have any training. Sometimes, those shows like The Voice or America's Got Talent, it's been a few years since I watched them, but I've heard the coaches respond to people sometimes where they have incredible voices, their range is amazing, but the feedback was, oh, you're too technical, you're trying to stay in the lines of what they trained you with for Broadway or for this, and you're not giving yourself that artistic freedom to let the passion and emotion just go wild, and that damages them. So those of you that have no training, you don't have to worry about that. Just let your passion and emotion come out in the art. Who cares about the training? It's not, you don't necessarily need it to express passion. And those of us that have had the training, well, let's just let go of some of that technicality stuff. Or maybe it's, I don't know if limiting belief is the right word, but sometimes, we get stuck in that, well, I should know better, or, I've been doing this for so many years. Give yourself permission to let go and just be brand new again with yourself and enjoy the process. So those have been things that have really gotten me out of, being stuck and all sorts of things. If you're not in the best mindset today, that's okay. That's okay. I want to tell you that I painted angry for like 2 whole years. I've also painted when I was grieving the loss of loved ones. So this is a really, it's a therapy as well for us. And I actually, if my team has a chance in a second, if you can show that painting, Ralph or Carissa, that, thanks. Is it, would I be able to see it, or it's up? Okay, it's up. I just can't see it. But that painting that you see on the screen, I just want to give you some hope for a second, okay? Thank you. I painted that way back when I was in my beginning stages, okay? And we have 4 kids, and I was raising, my first one had just hit teenage status, and the attitude that comes with that, and you always learn on your first one. And that she was our hardest. Love her to death, and she's a huge success in her life now that she's a grown-up, but boy, she really gave us a run for the money there for a while. And so I was angry because there were things that I could no longer control. I was learning to parent in a whole new way, and you have this person bucking everything you do, right? And I couldn't take out the frustrations on everyone else. That wouldn't be fair. I had to get it out of my body because it would block me in every other area. And so I painted. And I didn't intend for it to be a painting. It was my place to go when I got all worked up and I needed to let stuff out. And that's what I did. And then after, you know, those were colors that to me were like anger, depression, rage, just, you know, and I had to get them out. And then, you know, as I got through the end of those 2 years, things started looking up a little bit. I had learned how to, you know, parent in a different way. I'd gotten help and all that stuff, right, that we go through. And so I didn't want to leave it in a place where it was so dark. And so I brought in some, you know, bright yellow because I was starting to see that glimmer of hope there. And I titled it Fury. And so, because it was a time period in my life. And so the funny part with that is I had a restaurant come into my studio one day, and they were picking out paintings that they wanted for to be displayed in their restaurant for, like, you know, exhibition for maybe about 6 months or so. And I had pre-selected things and they liked them. And then they turned and they go, "Oh, tell me about that one." And I'm like, "What?" No, that's not a painting. That's just, you know. And they go, "But we really like it." And I think what they picked up on that was all the emotion and that passion and the fact that it was so raw. So it was, they chose it, and it was up in their exhibition for, I think they ended up keeping them all for a year. And so I just want to, you know, give you hope with that, because even if you are in one of those spots today, one, this is a great therapy to get out and get it out of your body so you can process. And it's gonna relate to someone somewhere in their life, because it's a bridge. And thank you. And it's a bridge to let them know that they're human too. They connect with, you know, what you are identifying with, and it's just amazing. So don't discount it. All right, let's get back to putting another layer on here. I think mine are dried enough, so I'm just gonna grab them, and we're gonna go back on the table. And they're, I think, dry enough that we can sort of get somewhere with it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna start with this one here. And I probably should have put my brushes in some water. Okay, but let me show you these brushes here. These are nothing special, okay? People ask me all the time, what kind of brush do you use? I don't believe in buying expensive paintbrushes for this. These are my workhorses. They have to take a beating. And sometimes I ruin them, and the paint gets all dried up here, and you may have had that, you know, you forget to put this in water or wash it out, and you come back the next day and it's all hard and you can't get it out. And this brush here, this one used to look like the other one. I mean, take a look at that. I forgot one day, and in fact, you can see there's still hard stuff here, right? So I just cut it off. And honestly, these sort of little things make great abstract markings. So I'm gonna leave this here. Hopefully I remember to use it, but all right, let's switch directions. So I think I started this way. Often I will change directions of a painting, and it forces me to think of it in a whole new way. Okay. Now, I think I want to start with some of this. And I'm just go for it, okay? Oh, and let's do some markings before I forget. I tend to forget that. So if you've started painting, that's okay. I'm gonna grab some colors. Just get something on here. And let's see. I'm gonna bring in a little white. Switch hands. Less control, right? Okay. That's good. Let me get some of this. I'm just going to open this up. Get some of this brown on here. Not too thick though, because, I mean, you can, but I want these to dry, so maybe I could get another layer in with you guys and just show. So another thing I do is, if I'm laying a color down on the canvas or paint surface, I will always try to put it in at least one other spot. So it's not the only place here. There's a spot up there too, so that, you know, it looks like it belongs. I leave a little bit of it revealed later on, and it looks like it belongs. Otherwise, it kind of has no business, right, being there. And let's go with taking this yellow ochre. And I'm going to bring some white in. Now generally when I get towards the end stages, I don't mix so much with my paintbrush, although you can. I sometimes really love the strokes of the paint blending together too. So make notes of what, you know, what sort of speaks to you. I'm just going all over. And so if I leave some of this underneath exposed, it works because I've got all of these colors in that underneath, that under painting. All right. I think now I want to take a different tool. I'm going to take this. This is called a brayer, and it's just a rolling thing. You can get them on Amazon. Let's see. I don't always go over the entire painting with it. But I'm gonna in this case, because then I'm gonna come back in. I just want to see what it does. Now, it really messes things up, right? I think in a cool sort of way. And it blends the colors. And now I'm gonna take, let's see, take some of this dark brown. I should just leave this lid off here. I'm gonna take some of this dark brown and just come in, just in certain areas. And you can see right away it's adding contrast, right? And sometimes I let this entire layer just dry before I come in with, you know, something like what I'm doing now. And it really, like, you know, I think it works better, but I just want to show you. And so let's say I don't want this texture over every area. So what I do then, let's see, is I'll take something like this or my spatula and I'll just go over some areas and smooth them out. And yeah, it does blend them too, but I don't always like full texture. And this is a personal thing, like you can, there's nothing wrong with it. This is part of discovering what really speaks to you, because what we're trying to do is just make beautiful art that we would love to look at when we walk in our room, right? Okay, so I think I need to let this one stay and dry because I've put probably a little too thick of a layer on it. But let me show you. Okay, this is a tool for me, but I honestly don't know what it is. I bought it when I was in an Asian supermarket, and I'm always on the lookout for stuff like this. And I use both ends and I'll scrape it. And so sometimes I go like this and I just add. Now you can see the cool part is it scraped away. What the beauty of the layer underneath is it scraped it away, and now you have something really cool to look at. And I can do it anywhere. And if I don't like it, well, I immediately don't like it, then I just smooth it out again, or when it's dry, I put another layer on it. But I think, let's see, let's do a little up there too. All right, I'm gonna see what that one looks like because this is my experiment stage. All right, let's take this one. And now I really love, I love these colors. I just do. And you may find that for yourself in certain ones. Now, what I'm noticing is this beautiful dark color. It may look black on the screen, but it's actually a dark blue green. And so I want to lighten up this area just a little bit. And I'm going to take some white. And you know this gray, it's not black and white. I got it just from mixing all these colors, right? You've seen that. And that's the beauty of this here. So let's take a brush and I'm just gonna come in, okay, I'm gonna bring it over here where there's a little bit of that gray still. And I'm gonna lighten it. And I just wanna see what happens, that's all. I just wanna see, and then I'm gonna let it dry. Let's see, put some here. With acrylic paint, I've made this mistake many times, is thinking that I've made it light enough, and so as I'm mixing and laying it down, I go, oh no, it needs to be darker. And that's my mistake, is not doing it light enough, because acrylic paint dries darker than what it actually is when it's wet. So I've learned that the hard way many times. All right, I'm just having fun with this now. I'm just kind of following. I like the way the layout is, the dark here, the dark there. And I'm just kind of following, like, what happens if I just accentuate that a little bit more and play around with it? What sort of mood will that give me, right? And I kind of like it. Now, I'm going to reserve judgment until it's completely dry. But let me get my color shaper. Let's see, where did it go? Here it is. Okay. And I'm just going to give it a quick wipe. All right. And I want to see what happens if I just sort of smooth this out. And there's a lot of texture here, so you may not be able to see it. I'm just smoothing out the different levels of paint here. And I'm going to take a little bit here. And I just kind of want to, I don't know, I like the blended areas of where two colors meet. And I like to sometimes kind of get it in that blurred state where you can, almost like you're looking at something that is behind fog, right? And you're trying to figure out, what is that? It looks like there's a layer of fog in front of that. All right. Maybe I come in with the brush here. And let's see if I remove some of that. It sort of leaves like not as harsh of a color, but you can tell that it's darker. I think I'll leave that. Okay. All right. Let's see if I come in, even though I know it's wet, I'm going to get one of my pastels or pencils. And let's see. Let's take this one. Since I like this yellow here and I left a little bit of it unveiled and I could see little peaks of it here and there, I'm going to make it look like it fits more by just, you know, intentionally adding. And I don't want to make it too much because sometimes the beauty of certain paintings is that you have just a little bit of one color, right? It's sparse, but it's just enough to let, you know, the viewer know that it was supposed to be there. All right. Okay, I'm going to let this one dry. All right, let's take this one here and let's look at it. Okay, what I liked initially when I started, now this was dark, this was light. I hope maybe you can see that this light one dried darker, right? That's what acrylic does. So I like the contrast. First, let's do some markings. And I can see yellow in here, so I'm going to continue with this because I kind of like that. And I'll make just a mess, right? Sometimes I make a mess right here at the line where they blend. Ooh, and then let's try this. Let's see if I can scrape off. Okay, I see some coming, but can you see this? That got scraped away. It's kind of cool. So the paint is drying, but it's not completely dry, and sometimes that is the best time to just get rough and see what comes of it. And so let me get this off. All right. I love sometimes art that feels very raw and almost like, I don't know, graffiti-like, or that's not even the word for it, but you know, where you've got all these unplanned little marks and they're so interesting. All right. And I think I'm going to get one more color, just see what happens. Let me try this brown. Oh, this is purple. Okay, no big deal. And there's a brown. Okay, let's try this brown. There. Okay, I'm just gonna mess it up here. There's a little bit of black. Let me see, my white one, let's do a little bit of that too. Sometimes it adds a really nice touch. And let's try some blue. Okay, so I'm making a mess here because in my head I'm going, I know I want to cover most of this up, but I need something interesting to peek through. And that's what all of this does. And I'm still deciding what sort of colors I want. And sometimes I'll take my pastels over here and I'll say, oh, let's see, what's this? This one looks kind of, that's a cool, like blue-green. I'm always looking for blue-green. I don't know what it is with me and blue-green. Okay, I like that contrast. I don't know if it'll work in with the final painting, but you know what? It really kind of doesn't matter at this point. Okay. You should be feeling good as you do this and just almost enjoying the process more than the actual finished painting. That's what we're going for. All right. Now this, I'm thinking, oh, it gives me an invitation to bring in some of that blue-green paint that I just love and can't get enough of. So let's take some of it, bring it over here. And you can see how intense that is. That's still way too dark. And I'm gonna mix it with some brown, bring in a little bit. Still not quite what I want. So, okay, let's start over and let's do, maybe I'm thinking more of the yellow. Let me just rinse this. All right, we're gonna start a new approach. And this is what I do when it's just me. Didn't like that? Okay, no big deal. Start a new one. What I like is that gold and the brown. So I'm going to start just a hint of this and a hint of this and maybe some of that brown. All right, that's closer, but it's still too dark. You can see it's going to dry the same. So I got to lighten it. And sometimes, here's the thing, you have to go a little lighter than what you're comfortable with and be okay with that because it's gonna dry darker. All right, so let's just see what happens. I'm gonna keep this composition here, which is, you know, this part, and then, you know, I kind of want to see what happens. These often will give me like a roadmap idea for larger paintings that I want to do. It's my experiment ground. All right, now that's kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is take my, probably this because it's a smaller thing. I want to smooth some of this out. Oh, but wait, let's do the brayer. All right, this thing here, this is a perfect opportunity. And then what I don't like, I will smooth out. So what it does is it gives such irregular texture, right? And then what I do is maybe smooth out lines that I don't like. And sometimes I'll take the leftover and I bring it down here. Now, I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to take some brown, that dark brown paint here. I'm going to come over this because it just, seeing that, just made me realize I want to make it pop a little bit more. So I'm going to bring some of the pure color. And I don't want all this stuff to show through. And I mean, if you see how I'm doing my brush, I will try to use the paintbrush in ways that are so non-traditional to keep me in that abstract realm. Okay, so let's see what happens here. And this is how I get that look of like, looks like you're looking through a fog. It's starting to form right here. So I would need to let that dry and then come back in. Let me wipe the white paint off. And I just want to drag this over here. All right. So abstract wise, I love what I'm getting from this. Then I'm getting texture. I'm going to smooth out these lines from the brayer roller, some of them, so you can't tell that like that's what I did. I like it to be a little bit of a surprise in that sense. All right, so I love the dark and the light contrast, right? There's a little bit of this dark up here, so it lets me know like one, it draws my eye up there, not just to this part alone. And this, although it may not come up on camera, there's all these little like interesting little lines that are coming through this top layer. And I could even see them through the actual paint here. So that's how you get that depth and sophistication, is by, you know, letting all that stuff layer upon layer. And it's starting to really give this interesting composition. And so I'm gonna let it dry, and I'm gonna see what, you know, what do I do next? It's a very simple, basic composition here, right? There. All right, let's just see what happens. That one's gonna dry. Now let's take a look at this one. Okay, so you can see what's happened here. What's all that pink, right? That wasn't there before. Well, yeah, it actually was. It was a oil pencil that I used. I don't remember, it looks like maybe I used this color, but sometimes the purples turn pink after you do this. And, you know, don't let that, don't freak out. There really is no wrong thing with abstract. And so I'm just gonna go with it, and I'm gonna see how I can bring it out in my painting. And since I see a little bit of the gold of that yellow here in just coming through the underneath layer as well, I am gonna add a really light layer with a little bit of this blue, but kind of leaning a little more towards the yellow, because I'm kind of curious. I want to see what it'll do. Let me bring it over here. Just a hint of that yellow in there. And it may not be strong enough, but here's where I'm going to have to let it dry and reserve my judgment. All right. And I'm not going to go everywhere. And so if you, you know, you get this sort of stuff with the pencils shining through, you can't always get rid of it because it's oil. And sometimes, depending on the color that you use, some are strong and intense, and they will just show through. They bleed their way through because they're oil. Just adapt and add it elsewhere, or let enough of it peek through where, you know, it looks like it goes with the painting. All right, let's do something to, I'm thinking the brayer roller. All right, where is it? I really think that might. And then I'm going to show you something else I do with it. All right. So I'm letting the rest of the brayer like just kind of spill these little drops elsewhere. I like the effect, and I think it's gonna help with the overall look of bringing things together. Just enough, right? And so another thing I love to do is I save my old spray bottles. This just has water in it. And I'm just going to, let me see if I could do this so you guys could see, spray it on certain sections, and I let the drips just go. And you can see, you know, sometimes you have to let it sit there for a while, let it dry. And these are not strong drips. They might dry I know it looks strong now because it's a very light color paint on top of the dark, but it is a very watered down version that is coming down here. So it's gonna dry almost transparent, and it's gonna leave a very subtle like marking. And I use those just for, you know, that sophistication and that extra detail that when you get up close, you go, oh wow, there really is a lot involved here. There's like all these little details that you can't see from far away. And that's what I love about this. So I'm not worried about this pink. I think in the end, this is gonna actually maybe add something to the painting. So we're gonna let it dry, and I think I have one more to do. All right, and that is this one that we started on. So, okay, let's take a look at this. All right, love the blue, I love this gray, and I love the pops of gold and this in here. This is just like, for me, probably most is the letting go of, you know, if we go back to our intention, ask yourself right now, are you thinking of your intention as you're doing this, right? And how can you sort of focus on that and just bring it out a little? So for me, I'm gonna go lighter in here. And since I'm working with the same color tone, and this is what makes it easy and, you know, to do multiple paintings, because you're just practicing different versions of it, you know, with the same palette. So you're gonna get potentially like a whole series if you just keep going. All right. And I'm just gonna tweak some areas and lighten them, not everywhere, but maybe just enough to sort of, you know, add contrast and nope, don't like that. So I think what I'll do is spray this one. And then what I probably want is that brayer roller on certain areas. So let me grab that. All right. And so I didn't really use the brayer, I don't think, in our last session. Sometimes when I come in one day, you know, I'll use certain tools and then I try not to use them the next time I come in. And I try to use different tools. And it just helps with the overall abstract feel, because then you're not stuck in one area, right? And I just want to bring some of these markings in. I don't know, for some reason, okay, I tend to be very nature inspired, and for some reason, it's just making me think of raindrops, right? Misting, something misting over whatever this is, some sort of landscape-ish, Monet-like, you know, where it's so close up that you don't have a clear view. And then I think, let's bring in a little more of that blue first. Yeah, okay. Let's just bring in some of this. And maybe take it down. Now I'm thinking just a little bit somewhere up here. There. And I'm just making marks, like using this, the little bit extra paint that was here, using it like a pencil. All right, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going with it. And hopefully you get to that point too, where you just sort of like, you get in this flow and you just let it come through. All right, and I kind of like what's going on right now. I just want to mess this section up a little bit. All right, I'm gonna leave that, and that's very happy with this, you know. I'll reserve judgment again in the end until it dries, but you know, that's my approach. Oh, let me just hit it again with a little bit more of this, because I'm liking that contrast. And I think it's gonna, and this is what you do, layer upon layer. You go in and you just add, and it gives that complexity. You paint over sections you don't necessarily like. And you just let everything kind of be. And I'm pretty happy with this one right now. That definitely feels like me letting go. And so when you are doing it, let me just set this down, and then I'm going to switch cameras and come back over and just make sure I've shared everything I need to share with you guys. So, all right, bear with me for 1 second. Okay. And that's, all right. So, let's see. Okay, thank you. All right. So I hope you can see, you know, with all this, let me just summarize like what we did today so that when you are out on your own, you can just keep going with it. We started with an intention, and we decided we're just gonna warm up, activate that canvas, make marks, not care about these first layers here, because it's waking up our creativity. It's allowing us to get in touch with our intuition and feel, like, develop a sense of, what do I want to feel when I look at this painting? And we are not judging. We're not judging ourselves. We're not judging the artwork. And we're not judging any of that process. That is the only way that we could be free enough to, you know, go deeper in this. And then we're gonna revisit our intention with each layer. We're gonna add more layers, and as we get higher up in the layers, things will start speaking to you, and you're just gonna sort of follow that path. And you're gonna develop those areas. Maybe you don't touch certain areas. Maybe you cover up areas you're not so crazy about. And then you just start, you know, tweaking with a little more care. And that's really, you know, that's the process you follow. And there's more to it. I know I don't have time to get into it today, unfortunately, but I hope this gives you a really good start of what you can actually do. And we've got, I think, maybe 10 more minutes or 8 minutes left. Okay, thank you. So if there's a question you have, drop it in the comments. My team will read them, and I'll do my best to answer. But let me do the giveaway. Okay, this right here. All right, this is a print. It's a small print of one of my paintings, and the way we did it last time was I had you guys type in a word, and their view, my team's view, everyone's view is going to be different, but whoever pops up first typing that in is who's going to win it, okay? So let's type in the word. Are you guys ready? Thank you. Okay, type in the word abstract, and they're going to let me know who comes up as their first view, and I'm going to send this off to you. Let's see. Oh, what is the turquoise paint color? Yes. Where is it? So I'm particular about my turquoise, and there's a lot of great blends out there. They're all great. This one just speaks to me more. So it's actually, well, let me hold up here. It's Utrecht. You can get it at Blick. Utrecht, just turquoise, Utrecht turquoise, and it's a heavy body paint, but I love it because it's so dark. Like I have such a range to work with. It's so dark. I can go from almost black to like practically white with it. So, do you guys have a winner?
Erica.
Erica, is there a last name?
Krager.
Krager?
Yes.
Okay, Erica Krager. Reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook, or if you're not on that here, maybe just leave a comment or respond back. Respond back to one of the emails that I sent out of these as a reminder. And this is yours. I will send it out to you. And you know what? I think I want to do one more giveaway. My team was not prepared for this, but here's what I want to do. These are some note cards that I These are not the ones that I sell on my website. These are a different type of note card that whenever somebody purchases like an original painting, I usually put some of these in there with them. So this is what they look like. It's one of my paintings, and they come in a box like this. So let's type in start. So whoever gets that, we type that in, and we'll send that off to you. And I'm so glad you guys all joined today. They'll let me know when they have a winner. And there's a couple more things I wanted to say, but let's wait a second. Do we have someone?
Tammy.
Oh, Tammy. Oh, yes. Okay. Tammy, I see you. Reach out to me. I don't see a last name on your profile there, but reach out and just email me back, okay? These are yours, and I will send them out. So I wanted to, I hope this helped you guys to get going. It's a lot to do in 90 minutes, and honestly, to do it well, we need more time. And thank you. I've loved the questions and all the responses, like so many of you have written back to me on the emails, and I wanted to let you know a couple of things. I have started a private Facebook group, and I forgot to give my team the link to drop that in. But anyways, you can look it up, and I'll put it in one of the emails too. It's called the Abstracted Artist Free Facebook Group. And that is where, if you want to share what you've painted today, I would love to see it. And I know everyone else did too. I had some requests after the last live session to do something like that. So we're gonna do it, and it really inspires us all when we could see what other artists are making, because it's all gonna be so different, and they're all beautiful, and it's art that only you can make. So that's available to you. And then I also wanted to let you know, because I've gotten some requests to continue. So I'm gonna do something called Abstract Paint Week at the end of the month. It's gonna be the last week of the month. We're still getting all the planning and everything together. So if you want, here's the idea of it. It's gonna be a live painting Monday through Friday. So we get 5 days together. And the goal of that is to take you from start all the way to finish, hopefully, like of at least one painting. We'll be working on, like several at the same time, because that's how we do it. But the goal is that you can see, like, maybe you get at least one start to finish, and then you know now what to do a little bit more, and then you can finish the others. So we'll get the info for that out. And if you want to receive that, then probably the best way to do that is to get into my artist community list. And then I'm going to ask Carissa if she could maybe drop the link in the chat there. There's a link to join it. That's where I make all my announcements, and that's where I will do it first. So anybody that wants to, that's where you'll get my top 10 tools list of all the stuff that I used today, links to where you can buy it, and just a whole bunch of ideas. I also send out weekly video demos on how to do things, challenges that we face, and any question that artists have or where they get stuck, they respond back to those emails and they will ask the question, and then we tackle it together. I put it on the list, and then it comes out, and it's a conversation basically of, artist to artist, and that's how we work through ideas. So I want to invite you to join that if that's something, you feel you want to go a little deeper and just start developing more of a regular practice. That's available to you. And so look out for that email. Abstract Week is going to come out in there. Were you guys able to get the link in?
Did you send it
I texted it to you.
earlier?
Yeah,
The one
earlier.
that says resources?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stand by.
Yeah. Okay. It's coming. All right. But
I just want to encourage you guys. This is how you start with a really good practice. You don't need any experience. You see today, I can, oh, thank you. Okay, it's in the comments. I'm not a great drawer, and I do this because I feel it's more expressive to me. I get headaches trying to draw things. Some people are really good at it, and it is an ease for them. And so that's awesome. But like, we have to all find our method. This is my method that I'm just sharing with you. And whatever works, you take it and borrow it and use it now to help yourself figure out who you are. So, okay. I want to stay true to our time. We're just about at the 90-minute mark. And the link to join is in there. I will be sending out all the information about Abstract Week. If you want to join us, you can do that there, or just stay connected through this group. But thank you guys so much for joining today. I hope that you got a lot of this out of this for you, and that you can feel the benefits, for yourself, because art just, it brings us alive, and we need that more than ever now. So I hope you join me in the Abstracted Artist Paint Week, and join the Facebook group. I'll put that in the link to the email, and have a wonderful rest of the weekend. I will see you guys.